Have you ever walked into a coffee shop or a fast food joint and been confronted with this wall-sized menu of hundreds of options and maybe some terminology you've never heard before and prices you don't know if it's a good value or not? You ever done that? And you're standing there holding up the line while you're trying to figure out what you want and what you need. And there are lots of games in the NewVenture catalog, and I don't mean just the Peg Pastimes games, but also the non-Peg Pastimes games. It can be a little overwhelming when you're trying to decide what stocking stuffer to buy for your nephew or what games you might like on the shelf at your school or your library. It's a classic case of the paradox of choice. You remember that book by Barry Schwartz? Too many options equals high anxiety. And I want to help. So here at NewVenture Games, we're putting together what we call bundles. And most of them are in our small box format, which are great for packing for trips or picnics, family gatherings, that sort of thing. I guess you could categorize them pretty much as travel games. Some of them are the larger box format as well. Again, they have a common theme to them. Mostly we're hoping that these bundles will help people find games that they would like to play and like to share and like to save some money at. So when we group these games into a bundle, we shave off a few bucks as a discount, and we also save something on shipping. And so in this video, I want to describe what some of the bundles are to date and give you an idea what I'm talking about here. But also I want to solicit from you, the viewer, what kind of bundles you'd think would be appropriate, what kind of stuff you'd like to see, what interests you might have, regional, strategic, maybe the duration of the games, or the age range of the players. So give me some comments for sure down here. Meanwhile, I'll just run through the catalog real quick, and you can see what we're up to. Games of the Ancients. The 5,000-year-old game of from Samaria was rediscovered in the 1920s. It's called the grandfather of all race games. This game, called Branduv, is an Irish variation of the Norse Taffel games. Our Peg Pastimes version is based on a 1,000-year-old artifact and includes rules for another historic game in the same box. 5 Lines, called Pentagrammai by the ancient Greeks, was a very popular game and the ancestor of today's backgammon. La Tronculi, a Roman game that's at least 2,000 years old. This set includes the rules for 2 games in one. Alkerks originated in the Middle East but later became popular in Spain and France. It's the ancestor of modern checkers. Nine Men's Morris is one of the oldest and most popular games in human history. Versions are found all over the globe. This is a group of 6 of the oldest games we know of. Archaeologists have discovered these in the ruins of palaces and tombs and temples. Native American games. Picaria, a challenging member of the 3-in-a-row family of games, played by the Tewa tribe in southwestern North America. The Serpent game, the smallest of this family of jump and capture games from the Zuni people of New Mexico. And Totolospi is a race game played by the Hopi and Moki tribes. This game can be found in various forms throughout the Southwest. This is a bundle of 3 games that represent just a few of the fun and challenging games from the indigenous peoples of the New World. All of these games were recorded originally by the Spanish explorers coming to the New World in the 1600s. And if you're interested in one more of the Native American games, Stone That Kills is a larger version of the Serpent game, one of a family of games called Awithlaknanai. Games of East Asia. Dozo, a fascinating pattern-making game from Japan for 2 or 3 players. Five-Field Kono is a traditional game from Korea, an ancient ancestor of the Chinese checkers genre. Lanchoa is another predator versus prey game. This one is from the ancient kingdom of Siam and is a great introduction to the type. Nyot, also called Yutnori and other names, is a Korean race game for up to 4 players with shortcuts. Shiguachi hails from eastern China. This entrapment game is sometimes called watermelon chess in the West. The ancient civilizations of Asia produced a huge number of board games that are still with us today in one form or another. Games of Southern Asia. Adu Puliatam is a classic predator versus prey game from India that's still played today after thousands of years. Bag Chal is a very popular game from Nepal. It's a classic of the predator versus prey genre. Tobit is from the Republic of Khakassia and south of central Russia, and it's a unique jump and capture game. Jarmo was played by the Mongolian conqueror Batu Khan in the 13th century, an early import to Eastern Europe. Pretwa is another game from India, often called circular checkers in the West. It's a fast-paced version with some interesting strategic choices. This is a game bundle that comes from the part of the world where many games evolved, both traditional and modern. I suspect that we'll soon be coming out with a bundle that is specifically games from India, because there are so many of them, and they have so much longevity. We're still playing games that they played in India 1,000 years ago, and quite often don't even realize it. Games of West Africa. Aki is one of the 9-hole family of games. It's traditionally played in Ghana, and very popular peg pastimes game. Choco is played by the Mandinka and Fulu tribes in the Republic of the Gambia, an interesting jump and capture game. Dara is a Nigerian game combining a placement phase, 3-in-a-row captures, but no restricting move lines on the board. Feli comes from Morocco, a 2-player puzzle game similar to the butterfly game played in Mozambique and elsewhere. Kia is a traditional game from Liberia on the East African coast. It's a jump and capture game with a twist. And Yote has been played in Senegal, Mali, and Burkina Faso for many generations, and is popular throughout West Africa. So many great games can be found in Africa, and this bundle of 6 serves as a nice introduction to that wide variety of games and the cultures that play them. Games of East Africa. Marabaraba is one of our best-selling games. It's very popular in South African nations and similar to Europe's 12 Men's Morris. Shisima is a game from Kenya. This little 2-player puzzle game is a local variant of wheel games played throughout the world. Fanarandimi is a small version of Fanarona, the national game of Madagascar, with a very unique capturing method. Hyena Chase is a simplified version of the Sudanese hyena game, a race game enjoyed by children and families. Siga is the Egyptian version of a regional favorite that's over 1,000 years old, and still popular today. This set of African games spans the continent from the Nile Delta to the Cape, with a wide variety of traditional games. Games of the South Pacific. Surakarta gets its name from a city in Indonesia on the Isle of Java, where it originated. The unique capturing loops add an element of surprise to the game. Mutarare is a traditional game from New Zealand. It was played by the Maoris when the first Europeans landed there in the 1850s. Konane has often been called Hawaiian checkers. It's not really checkers at all, but still a fun and challenging jump and capture game. The 3 games in this bundle come from the island cultures of the South Seas and are some of our most popular games in the Peg Pastimes collection. Also be sure to check out Konane Master. It's the full-size version of Konane, what might be called the national game of Hawaii. Historic Games of Europe. Fox and Geese is about as classic as they come. With roots in the 15th century, the game continues to be popular throughout the world. Grasshopper is a parlor game from England that was the early inspiration for games like Halma and Chinese checkers. Hare and Hounds is a popular version of a 2-player puzzle often called the French military game from the 1870s. Round the Clock is a version of the traditional shut-the-box dice game using a clock face for scoring. Saku is a running fight game from the far north played by the Sami people. It's related to the Viking game called Daldos. Madelinette is a small puzzle game first recorded in the 1600s, but much older. A version is played in China also, using the same board. It's a bundle of classics from around Europe, Great Britain, and Scandinavia. From 19th century pub games to an ancient Sami running fight game, This is a great variety to add to your game collection. Games of Ancient Egypt. Aseb is also known as the Game of 20 Squares, a 3,000-year-old Egyptian version of a race game. It was played from Sudan to ancient India. Hounds and Jackals is a race game played by the pharaohs, including Tutankhamun. Several rule sets are provided based on historical recreations. Mehen, also known as the Snake Game, is an intricate race game for up to 6 players. There are many variations to try for this most ancient game. Senet is also called the Journey to the Underworld. It was immensely popular in ancient Egypt and is still played today. Tab is what's called a running fight game. There are very few examples of this type of chase and capture game in the world. This game is probably related to the equally ancient game Tablan from India. This set of games uses our larger board formats to bring you some of the most ancient games known to modern historians. A glimpse into the tombs of the ancient pharaohs. Hopefully these bundles will help you find the kind of games you're looking for, whether it's for the school, the library, museum store, or just your own personal collection. They could fit very nicely into themed parties for thematic gift giving, prize packages. And also remember that each one of these games has an accompanying YouTube video to show you how to play the game and tell you a little more about their history. So next time you're doing some online shopping, be sure to check out our bundles. Of course, they're available on our website, as well as other online retail outlets. So thanks for coming by again for this week's installment. I hope this helps you in your shopping challenges. And with the immense availability of games these days, I'm sure you'll find no trouble at all to be sure to play every day.